Sarah. As Sarah said, I've been building CAD systems for, she said, 30 years. Actually, 36 years I've spent my life building CAD systems. And it was almost 25 years ago that I was fortunate enough to be one of the founders of SolidWorks. And I stayed at SolidWorks almost 20 years, building the then new generation of this radical idea of 3D CAD on Windows, which was new at the time, now a standard. I left SolidWorks and a few years ago got together with some of the other early people from SolidWorks and started thinking about yet another new generation of CAD. And I'm here today to report on this new generation of CAD we're building, full cloud CAD. Why did we build it? What is it? How are we doing? What's the state of it? You've watched me present if you've come to these other events over the years. First we were planning it, then we were in beta, then we just released it. I'm proud to tell you today we have lots of companies that have adopted it. We'll be sharing that. What have we learned? What should you do as a CAD user? How should you think about this new generation? And as my title says, we're 3 million hours of use into this new generation of cloud CAD. And I hope that you learn a little about where we are and why we think it's important and where we're going with it. So why did we build a new CAD system? There's obviously lots of CAD systems. You can see that here. Why build a new one? Well, it starts with looking at you, the user, and seeing how design has changed. I love to go out and visit users, customers, people who use CAD. I talk to them about the tools, but also about their process and how they work. And in the years leading up to Onshape, I could see that design had changed. The way people work over the years had evolved. And you hear that in the other speakers today. If you were in the sessions this morning, you hear these themes. People have moved from a linear, sequential kind of process to a highly iterative and parallel environment, where you used to see Gantt charts with work staged out very carefully, often, commonly, 1 or 2 years or 3 years at a time. Those are gone. In their place, you see agile project boards. How many of you are seeing that? And Kanban. How many of you are seeing this in companies where you see a much more fluid approach to design? You also see teams have changed. Teams that used to be in one location under one roof, a small group of employees, are now distributed globally. And they're not only distributed in their offices, they're mobile. Everyone's moving around. They're not in one place. And so the team is also not just employees. They could be contractors, consultants, vendors, customers. And it's not just engineering. It used to be siloed engineering. These days, you want to include marketing, management, production, manufacturing. Everyone's on shorter time constants. And so this environment has really created a lot of problems for old file-based type CAD systems. So when we look at old CAD, and this is what led us to start this new generation, these are all problems that we see every day when we would visit design teams. The first issue is everyone needs a copy of the CAD system, and I literally mean a copy of the CAD system. You have downloads, installs, updates, service packs, license codes, servers for the license codes. And the big issue is, can you get everyone on the same version of CAD? This is probably the state of the art for many of you, where you're living with these kinds of systems. And who is everyone anyway? They're not just your employees. They're not in a neat little room. It's almost impossible to get everyone on the same version of CAD. And then there's the files. Okay, in order to work, people need a copy of files. Okay, no matter how you copy them, you can send them by email or FTP or USB drives. You can put in a PDM system, another server, install that, and put your files there. No matter how you do it, there's copies everywhere. And as soon as there's copies of files, there's problems with copies of files. Where's the latest version? Can I make a change, or are you going to overwrite my change? Checkout and locking, those sounded like good ideas, but they're not. Okay, checkout and locking just slow people down. That model used to be common in software development. It's been completely abandoned. No one develops software using that kind of methodology, but that's what we forced you to do with copying CAD data. If you just move this world of installed software and file copies, if you just naively move that to the cloud, you haven't really solved the problem. You've just kind of moved it to a different place. We looked at these problems and we saw that we could not solve these by building another iteration of a PDM server or another version of downloaded software, whether or not from a cloud server. We call this design gridlock, that state. By the way, that chart I just showed you with all the arrows, that's a simplification. There's no real project that's that simple, right? Real projects are even more complicated. Design's getting done, but of course design got done with pencil and paper too. And we think there's a better way. These are the kinds of symptoms. How do you know if you have design gridlock? These are all quotes from real users, the kinds of things we hear all the time when you are in the CAD world. And we thought, could we envision a world where we could fix all these problems of the CAD system, the files, all that stuff. We saw that, but we felt we had to rebuild the system in order for modern teams to do their best work. A new generation of CAD, we call it a full cloud architecture, and this is what we built with Onshape. We're the only system in the world that puts in one cloud workspace, we unite modeling tools, design data, and data management. Nothing is ever copied anywhere. There's no downloading and installation of software. There's no file copies. Anyone in the world can access Onshape from really any computing device at any time. And it's impossible for people to be on different versions of the software because we're all using the same master instance. There's no question about where to find the latest version of data because there's only one place to look. It's impossible for anyone to have their own private copy of data that they're working on separately from the master. When you think about it, this is how every other business system is architected, and this is the way we feel CAD should be architected, and that's exactly what we built. And so for those of you who haven't seen Onshape, let's take a quick look at a little bit of Onshape. How many of you have seen it or used it? Raise your hand. Okay, quite a few. And I know we have some of our great customers there. First thing about Onshape, nothing installed. Okay, this demo, there was no software downloaded or installed, no files copied here. And yet you have all the CAD power, modeling power, graphics power you expect in professional CAD. We have complete part and assembly modeling, surface modeling. It's all right there, right in the browser. This is on ordinary internet connection. We run on Chromebook, Linux, Windows, Mac, and so forth. Assembly motion, drawings, of course. Parts, assemblies, and drawings are, of course, the three pillars of a good, competent CAD system. Our API turns Onshape into a powerful platform for applications. We have applications of 47 different applications that run using our API, including fluid flow, rendering. I'll show you a couple examples in a moment. CAM. These are all running in the browser. Where we really shine is in data management. There is no save button in Onshape. Every edit that's ever made is retained forever. Okay, so it's impossible to lose work. There's no autosave. There's no save. Version control is established by labeling versions, which are the solid circles. The colored lines are branches, which can be merged back, branching and merging. The data management's built in at the core. If you don't need it, you don't use it. When you do need it, it's right there. Here's a GM 350 V8 powertrain. We're going to do a new project designing a plastic cover for some new electronics we're going to put in there. And we're going to start from scratch. Everything I've shown you so far is a pre-made model. Now we're going to make one from scratch. And we'll start editing using features. As I said, we have all the standard features you'd expect: extrude, fillet, shell, loft, sweep, fill surf, end-sided fill surf with curvature control. We have lots of powerful features, sheet metal, and if that's not enough, we have a feature script language where we now have an open community that's coded all kinds of additional features that can be used by many of our users. Here we'll build up a basic shape, and we could go on. I just want to build a basic shape for you here, very, very straightforward. Of course, we could add many more features, and now we'll version it. We'll call this V1 basic shape, okay? And now I'll show you the next magic part of Onshape is sharing. We're going to share with a colleague here, and all we do is type in an email address, okay, for my colleague Steve. We hit the share button. We select the permissions we want to give Steve, okay? It may not be the full permissions. And I hit the share button. If you've used Google Docs, you know exactly what this is like. Just think about this. In the right-hand window, imagine this is Steve's computer halfway around the world, maybe in China or elsewhere. There's no concern about whether he has the latest version of data. There's no concern about which version of software he's running. There's no concern about what computer he has. He opens it, and in real time, he's editing the same CAD model. Here he shells the model, and you see how it showed up on the left side? When Steve edits, John sees the changes. Undo, redo. You see how the changes are propagating? It's one model. There's no copies involved. This works the same if people are distributed around the world, and even if they're on a mobile device. We set a very ambitious vision for mobile. Put the entire CAD system on mobile phones and tablets. Make it available. This is not a viewer. This is not a copy of a file that's outdated when you send it out. There's no confusion about which version we're looking at. Here's the modeling features, the same power you had with all the professional level options and the extrude command and the loft command. They're all there right at your fingertips on my iPhone or on your Android phone or on an iPad or on an Android tablet or on devices yet to be introduced to the market. We even have the version control. So imagine you're on the run through the airport. You need to version something right there on your phone. Okay? So what we've done is we think that we've solved the problems of design gridlock by putting, as I said, the modeling tools, the design data, and the data management in one secure place in the cloud. And that's a quick, very fast demonstration for you of some of the key features of Onshape. And I'm only scratching the surface. There's so much more I could show you of the power of Onshape. But if we had time, I'd show you some of the many features we've added this year. This table shows just the features that come out each release during the year 2017. We are the fastest evolving CAD product on the market. Releases every 3 weeks, major functionality, and everyone in the world is instantly on the new version. There's never a need to think about upgrading or which version I'm on or something like that. You're never going to have an experience with Onshape of someone having the wrong version of software or files. I mentioned our App Store earlier, a little more detail. 47 applications now on the Onshape App Store. And that includes simulation, CAM, rendering, calculations, generative design, and a complete additive manufacturing tool chain. Some of the key partners, I don't have time to mention all of them, but I wanted to call attention. OpenBOM is a fantastic partner. They're here exhibiting. You really should check them out. It's a whole new approach to bill of material management in the cloud. OneRender, full cloud rendering. SwiftCalcs, which is a great math utility, which has become very popular with our users. VisualCam C, from Mexsoft, professional level cam. This is in the browser. Everything I'm talking about here, just like Onshape, in browser, no download, no install. Frustrum, with their Generate project, Jesse did a wonderful presentation yesterday. We're delighted to show our customers we can work with Jesse's optimized models. We can send models out to Frustrum. We can get back the result. We can use those in our Onshape Part Studios. We're a convergent modeling customer of Siemens. SimSolid. This is mesh-free simulation. Got to check this out if you haven't seen it. It'll take complex parts, whole assemblies, whatever, in Onshape, do the simulation. They just came out with a full cloud version. Fantastic product. Our customers love it. Those are cloud apps. We also, of course, work with desktop apps who can call our API as well. We have partners doing that too. So we're now at a point where, as the title of my talk says, believe it or not, we're 3 million hours into our journey. We've had Onshape users spend over 3 million hours designing with Onshape. We have thousands of companies, thousands of commercial professional companies that rely on Onshape as their CAD system. And what we're especially pleased at, to tell you this year, is that over 3/4 of our customers report to us that Onshape is their primary CAD system. So we're fine with customers using it as they do most CAD on the side, so to speak, or on one project, but we were really pleasantly surprised to earn that. And we work very hard on this because it takes a lot to become someone's primary CAD system. And very rarely do we see a new system introduced into the industry that achieves that. So we're especially proud of that. That takes a lot to come together, not just the system and our application partners and the enormous range of functionality, but also our training and our support and our community of users that help each other. Here's a few stories from our customer community. This company, NAFCO, LED lighting systems that go in stadiums, parking lots, facilities, a new age company. This is a racing team that makes Formula One and Le Mans race cars. Yeah, you heard that correctly. This isn't a mock-up. This is a real car. This is a very serious group of people building very complex shapes. This model here, you see all the detail they're putting into the car designs that they're making. We're very proud they've chosen Onshape to do it. We have a lot of medical products companies. This is a very clever knee brace that's spring-loaded. Consumer electronics is another area for us. This is an avalanche detection system that goes into a ski pole. Very cool product, very tightly fit components. These companies, if you look them up on our website or on the web, by the way, there's hundreds of online reviews from our customers. I was looking at it in preparation for coming here. If you go on sites like Capterra or G2 Crowd, you'll see lots of customer reviews and stories on our own website about companies like this. This is the distributed team working in multiple cities, working faster because of Onshape. This is a whole CNC farming robotics system from FarmBot, not just the robot itself, but attachments for doing fertilization, weeding, soil sensing, irrigation, all these gardening tasks, and you can program it with your phone or computer. We have furniture customers, quite a few furniture customers, automating with custom features from FeatureScript. This is the world's largest floating tidal turbine. We had one of the users from this company was here at this conference last year talking about Onshape. Very interesting product. So in all these hours of usage across all these companies, and by the way, for every company I showed you here, there's 100 more or 200 more or something that I could be showing you. So many stories, and that's what the greatest satisfaction is for us. And some of you may be surprised to see the scope of some of those products, but I want to point out to you that if you haven't seen Onshape lately, you haven't seen it. We're evolving every 3 weeks. There's so much more to our world than there was even months ago. And we've learned a lot about how you use Cloud CAD. We had some ideas going into it, as I told you. We had some goals to break the gridlock that we saw with design teams. I want to share with you quickly a few of the observations we learned from watching you use Cloud CAD. First thing we've learned is, and this was one of the things we thought, is teams work faster with Onshape. Our customers report to us over and over again that they get their jobs done faster. Even if it's one user, they work faster. In a team, especially so. In teams, they'll talk about our sharing, collaboration, and control features that just make them move faster. They can make changes they wouldn't have had time for in the past. They get things done faster. They're more confident about what each other are doing. The result is speed. Another thing we've learned is, yes, users do CAD on mobile. We had this ambitious agenda to put full CAD on the phone, on the tablet. We could have just built a viewer, but instead we put the whole CAD system there, and the results have been very, very satisfying to us. 1 in 8 Onshape sessions are on a mobile device, on a phone or a tablet, and people are doing editing and version control, as I showed in my demo. They're editing geometry, they're doing version control on the fly. Our typical story from a user goes along the lines, they say, I never thought I'd use your mobile product, I didn't think that was something I needed, and then, then I was on the beach, in an airport, in the train station, on a train, on a run, and I got a urgent message about a release of a part to manufacture. I mean, those of us who are at Onshape have heard these stories over and over again. It's always like, so I tried your mobile app, and wow, I was able to modify the part. I was able to check what someone else did. I was able to go back to an earlier version and check it out. Here's a quote from a user. The fact that I had full CAD functionality on my phone blew away a room full of seasoned biomedical developers. Another thing we've learned is that our approach to CAD is extremely reliable. I've learned in my CAD career that crashes are one of the things that most frustrate users. And we had expected that a real full cloud architecture like ours would be more reliable, but it's proven to be extremely more reliable. We feel like we have achieved a standard of virtually 0 crashes and lost work. It's very, very rare that people report something like a crash. And here's a user who says, I've never experienced even a single error message caused by data corruption. This was a serious problem I had with my old CAD system in the past. And so we've gone to great lengths to make our system, it's not just that our code is more reliable, our approach to building our system is more reliable. By putting it all in one place in the cloud, by having redundant servers, by capturing every edit in a database and not relying on file systems and executables that can crash and lose things. You'll virtually never have an experience of interrupting your workflow and losing data. And that's something our users love about what we're doing. Another thing we've learned is that users love cloud-based support. Here's a quote from a user We have, again, hundreds of these about how much our users love our support system. What we've learned is, guess what? The same collaboration capabilities that we're offering to our customers work great when our customers want to work with us. And so we start with a really wonderful group of support people, led by my Onshape co-founder, Scott Harris, who's out there, and John McElhaney right next to him. And these guys work every day to make sure that our support team has what they need and is world-class. Lou Gallo, those of you who know Lou, he's semi-famous in the CAD world. He heads the team. And so we have great people doing it. But it's the nature of our system that allows our support team to collaborate and communicate with our users. So it's very common, as this user noted, to get a response within 24 hours to bug and feature requests. New releases come out every 3 weeks. It's a very common experience for our users to have something they've asked for delivered to them in a matter of weeks. They love this system. We're able to offer our users, if they choose to share with one of our support staff can jump in and look at their model and collaborate in real time, like I showed you in the 2 windows there, and they can help them resolve a problem right there. We also have chat, like I said, there's so many things I didn't show you. Real-time chat right there in the window. So one of our support people can often help a user in real time resolve a problem. This just simply wasn't possible in the old world of CAD. You can't do that when you're copying files and worried about which version, configuration of computers and things, but we're able to do it. So this has been a really interesting thing for us, is how much our users love our support. Another thing we've learned is you can listen to me all you want or look at our website, but you have to try it to understand it. You're not going to understand what it's like to be able to access CAD on any of your computing devices with no install and no copying. You're not going to understand that until you try it. You're not going to understand what it's like to collaborate with someone thousands of miles away as if you're sitting at the same table, which is kind of what we allow you to do. You're not going to understand that until you try it and feel it in your hand. So we've really learned that, again, our customer base is filled with people who are like, well, I thought I'd give Onshape a try, but I didn't understand it until I used it. You know, I didn't mention, another thing I didn't mention is our multi-part part studios. How many of you have used those? Maybe you're familiar with those, our multi-part part studios. This is something that we've done that's another innovation. You won't understand it until you try it. So you really need to try full cloud CAD to understand it. And so my advice is design a project in Onshape. People ask me, John, I'm in the middle of a big project and I'm using SolidWorks or I'm using CATIA or whatever. What should I do? You know, and the answer is, we don't expect you to tear out your old system and throw it away and put in a new one in the middle of a big project. That's not a very realistic plan, okay? But what I would encourage you to do, if you want to see what today's tools are capable of, is pick a project. Pick something in new product design, advanced R&D, tooling and fixturing, even part editing. Pick something to try. Keep your current system. Don't interrupt a big project you're in the middle of, but try a project in Onshape. That's the only way you're going to really understand what this new generation of CAD is about. And so, in closing, I want to offer a big thank you to our customers. I've had the joy of meeting a whole bunch of our customers here in the last 12 hours or so this has been open, and it's been really great. Some of you I've known very well, and some of you are new to me, I hadn't met before, who came by and told me of your experiences with Onshape. I also really want to thank our partners. I mentioned some of them by name. I couldn't mention all of them, but I really appreciate all that you have done to endorse our vision of cloud-based CAD and build full cloud applications that go so well with Onshape for our users. And finally, I want to offer a big thank you to the DEVELOP3D team. I really appreciate what you do for our community. Keep doing it in print, online, and live. We love it, and it's a great part of our world. And so with that, I've deliberately left a few minutes to take some questions, which I was told we could do. Is that right, Sarah? Yeah, so I'm happy to take any questions you have about Onshape or anything else I could tell you about. Martin?
There's been a lot of presentations about generative design.
Yes.
What are your plans or thoughts on that?
So I'll repeat the question. So Martin says there's been a lot of presentations on generative design. What are our plans or thoughts? So right now, we have partners for generative design, like Jesse and the team at Frustum. And right now we have a partner approach to that. We have built into Onshape the capability to handle mesh data in our part modeling environment. So we're able to take output from generative programs and bring in those parts and model around them. I can show you examples, by the way, I was showing on my phone last night, some examples of this. So we're able to work really well with generative design tools from our partners. And so we have the data capability to do it. Of course, we output to them. And then, of course, it doesn't end there. We have to have the tool chain to check the parts, to check the meshes and prep them, and ultimately to print them. And we have partners for printing and partners for checking the mesh. And so, as I said, a complete tool chain. Oh, and by the way, there's simulation. SimSolid works awesome with these generative parts that can be typically very hard to mesh. So mesh-free analysis becomes way more important in the world of these complex generative parts. So we think we've got a good solution. We haven't home-built any technology in this area. We're relying on partners right now. Other questions? No other questions? Wow. Oh, Brad.
So what are the key things still left to accomplish?
Key things still left to accomplish, Brad asks. Well, we have a mountain of requests from customers for things to do in really all areas of the product. And as I said, for all the years I've worked in the industry on my previous systems and today, we're not done. You know, I feel like all the products don't do enough modeling, they don't do enough performance. You know, we are constantly striving to improve all aspects of our product. We've got some exciting new areas to introduce that we'll be launching, around the end of the year or next year, and we just have a huge agenda from our customers about improvements to make, and so that's what we're working on. So I think we've got many years of work to do in satisfying the needs of the design community, for sure. Any other questions? Yes?
It's kind of a crazy question, and I haven't tried Onshape yet, but I will. How do you get around the latency and bandwidth issues of trying to do such important work?
The question is, how do you get around the latency and bandwidth issues? Well, I'm going to say something that sounds a little flip, but I'm going to say, I think a few years from now we'll be saying, how do you get around the limitations of the desktop? Because really, I look at it and I say the desktop is the limited platform, not the cloud. We can put thousands of servers to work. There is no latency problem. If you use Onshape, it works just fine. You can't take an old piece of CAD software and throw it on a server and expect it to have a great experience. That's not what we did. We built the system from the ground up. Our team not only consists of the SolidWorks experienced people and the Computervision people and the our CAD people. We also have a cloud, web, and mobile team that are real experts in building large data center solutions, cloud solutions, that worked at companies previously. John McElhaney was at CloudSwitch, a local cloud startup. We have some experience building cloud apps, and so we didn't naively build it. We designed it from the beginning to work on normal networks, and so we think we have, obviously there's always things we'd like to improve, but don't view Onshape through the lens of the very unsophisticated, quote, cloud approaches that you might have seen elsewhere. It's really a completely different thing. Okay, thank you very much.